call the meeting for the Burke County Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting for Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 at 3 p.m. to order. I'd like to welcome everybody. Feels a lot better here in the chambers than it does outside, so sit back. Try not to snooze because it is very comfortable in here. Madam Clerk, roll call. We have Commissioner Abley, Commissioner Taylor, myself, Commissioner Vice Chair Carswell. I do not see Commissioner Britton as of yet. We have our County Finance Officer, Mrs. Margaret Pierce. Our County Attorney, J.R., is on a well-deserved vacation for the first time in years, so he is absent with permission. And, of course, our County Attorney. So I'd like to welcome all of those as well. I would remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices. And I would remind my fellow commissioners and guests to activate the microphone before speaking so our friends on YouTube can hear us during the recording. Gentlemen, the first item of business is approval of the agenda as amended. We would like to add presentation, Chamber of Commerce, presented by Tanya Stevenson, for proclamation declaring September 19th through the 23rd as Litter Sweep Week. And if possible, because of time constraints, and I know Tanya does have another meeting to attend, if we can move her to the front of the line under presentations. And also remove presentation item number 3 for reason. They asked to come in September as opposed to August. So, gentlemen, you've heard the suggestions. What is the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I make the motion we approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Madam Clerk, that is 4-0. And that being said, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is presentation. So I'll ask our good friend Tanya from the Chamber of Commerce to come up.
Can you hear me?
We can.
I want to make sure everybody catches it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and Manager and all who are here and allowing me to speak today. In the fall of 2021, our Chamber's Board of Directors approved a program of work that included an inaugural event for the Chamber. That would be the Burke County Chamber of Commerce inaugural litter sweep. I know that is an issue that our county has had in the forefront of your minds for at least as long as I've been in this county, and it's an issue across our state and probably across our country. But we want to just play a little role in trying to help with not just cleaning up a one-week event, but hopefully with doing this one-week event, it would help with education for our young folks. It would help let them see what the problem is if they just checking stuff out the window. So we're asking the county if you would please help us in getting the word out about this event. So it being a first-time event, we need all the help we can get to let everybody in the county know about it. We want everybody to participate. By the way, the dates is September 19th through the 26th. It's the full week of September 19th. So we're asking you to make a proclamation that would be the Burke County Chamber of Commerce inaugural Litter Sweep Week for the county. We are looking for groups throughout the county that would include church groups, youth groups, Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, the key clubs, everybody in the county who cares about the environment, cares about our county, cares about what it looks like. In addition to cleaning up and helping our environment and helping us to be cleaner, we have a lot of people who come through the Chamber of Commerce on a weekly basis who are here visiting our community just for a one-time vacation, or maybe they might be thinking about moving here. All these people, they're seeing trash on the sides of the street when they come. We also have a lot of developers who come through who are looking to maybe want to bring their company here. They may want to be building communities of housing. We want it to look nice for these folks when they come through. And if we can do a small part, I know the state does a big litter sweep in the spring, so this is the opposite side of the year, and we play a small part in that, getting everybody involved and helping with education at the same time. We would like to do that. So I just ask you to consider please doing a proclamation at your meeting in a couple weeks that would proclaim September 19th to the 26th as Burke County Chamber of Commerce inaugural Litter Sweep Week. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Fantastic idea.
I guess
Thank
if I can, am I allowed to answer questions?
you. Yes, you are. Gentlemen, questions, comments for Tanya? Well, I think we're all for it, but yes, that's a great thing you're doing. So we'll see you at the regular meeting, then we'll let you get on to your next one.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me go first as well, and I'm very appreciative of the county staff who's been very open to work with us and willing to help any way we can. So thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Tanya. Gentlemen, and for the record, Madam Clerk, Commissioner Britton is in attendance. Moving on to presentation number 2. This is just a placeholder. This is a presentation on Project Forward. This will be presented by Kathy Bailey, President and CEO of UNC Health Blue Ridge. She was unable to attend the pre-agenda meeting today, so
You missed Caitlin, but that's okay.
oh, I did. I'll come back to that one. See, curveball, but that's okay. And so, gentlemen, if you will allow me to finish with this one, she was unable to attend, so without objection, this item will remain on the agenda for presentations. And moving back, we're getting this set now. So we're going to have presentation of Pets of the Month. This is presented by Caitlin Settlemeyer, Animal Services Director. Didn't mean to jump you.
That's okay. Thanks for having us. We missed last month. We had some staffing shortages, but we're slowly getting back getting our staff back where it needs to be. So we're going to be hopeful to be able to bring one of our mini pets up here that'll be available for adoption and to update you guys on a few things that are going on at the Animal Services Center.
Gentlemen, questions, comments for Caitlin? If not, we'll see you at the regular meeting.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Caitlin. Now, moving on to our next item, gentlemen. This item is Burke Recovery Proclamation declaring September as National Recovery Month in Burke County. This will be presented by Vice Chair Carswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kim James is not able to be here with us today. She is the Executive Director of the Burke Recovery Program, but she will be here at our regular meeting to ask for a proclamation for National Recovery Month in Burke County. Some of the things I think you're aware of if you read the proclamation itself. The disturbing fact that the average age of first use of drugs in our county is 12.5 years old. That is absolutely disturbing. Overdose rates in Burke County have increased by 18% from 2020 to 2021. As obvious, fentanyl overdoses have increased by 313%. I'll repeat that, 313% from 20 to 2021. 911 calls have increased by 34.5% during that same year. Heroin overdoses have increased by 23%, and substance use disorder obviously is a major public health problem, and the use of fentanyl and other dangerous opioids, those other pills being laced with fentanyl, is rising in the community, leading to overdose and death. Underage drinking has grown during the past years because of many, many reasons. So, Burke Wellness Initiative and Burke Substance Abuse Network invites Burke County residents to participate in the activities to help recognize National Recovery Month. As we did as we were attending our NACO conference last week, we made our presentation on the opioid settlement process, which was well received, but as we continue, things are still bad in Burke County. So I ask that you gentlemen consider declaring this as National Recovery Month on behalf of Burke Substance Abuse Network. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I did have one. I was going to ask the question, translate those percentages into numbers. If the number three's up 300%, then you're at 9, but if you're at 100, then you're up to 300. Does anybody know the numbers?
Those numbers are more than 3, I can assure you that, but I'll make sure that you get those. The numbers are available.
But we don't have them now. But you will
No,
get.
sir.
We'll have them by our meeting next 2 weeks.
Yes, sir, I can get them before the meeting in the next 2 weeks. Yes, sir.
Good enough. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, gentlemen? All right, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. That brings us to item number 5, EMS, recognition of receiving the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline EMS Gold Plus Award. This was going to be presented by Jason Black, but how are you today?
I'm good, how are y'all?
Good.
You get Nicole Hudson instead for Mission Lifeline.
This is our 6th year receiving the award, the recognition, and we've done that despite COVID and all the challenges that COVID-19 has presented at EMS for the last 2 years. We have to maintain metrics of greater than 75% for all of our patients suffering from a heart attack or a cardiac arrest inside the bounds of Burke County, and we do that. We're upwards of 95% above everything, meaning all of our patients get the care that they need within 90 minutes. And we'll go into more detail on that on the actual presentation, but we want to make sure that the commissioners are aware of what our paramedics are doing and that the citizens see the high-quality pre-hospital service they have available here.
Thank you, Nicole. Any questions, comments?
And it's great. I've got 5 times down here that, knowing that they've done this 5 times really adds to the fact that they got one this year. So congratulations too. Hats off, a free breakfast if you catch me anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Then we'll see you at the regular meeting. Thanks, Nicole. Gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. This brings us up to item number 6 under presentation, community development, presentation on the North Carolina Foothills Experience website. And this will be presented by our friend Alan Glines, our Deputy County Manager / Planning Director.
Hello, commissioners, members of the public, staff. This item has been developed by the Western Piedmont Council of Governments. At your meeting on the 16th, Allison Adams will be here to make that presentation, but they've worked hard to develop this North Carolina Foothills Experience, which is really a job recruitment, staffing kind of a tool, they hope. Next slide, please. Because it highlights the community's quality of life, all those elements that make our community a great place to live, and it is focused, it is Burke, Caldwell, Alexander, and Catawba counties, part of their mission area, and they wanted to highlight those things that tourists like to do, visitors like to do, but also new recruits or people we're trying to bring to our community what they might enjoy doing too. So when they come here, they know when they take a job in Burke County, there's plenty of things for them to do on their time off, and they can enjoy themselves and take things to do with their families and all that. So they think it's good for recruiting and retaining employees. It's helping retirees know what to do and also just enhancing quality of life. But there's a focus, well, it's an interactive map website loaded with videos and stories and little highlights about the different places that they've picked out. But it has outdoor adventures, for example, and outdoor adventures include state trails, greenways, parks, ball fields, biking opportunities. Fun places are cultural amenities, including museums, libraries, art galleries, other historic places. They want to focus on farm fresh, so it's you pick farms, roadside stands, fresh butchers, farmers markets, and finally cool places, which would be the winery, distilleries, bike shops, outfitters, unique places. And I was just looking in Morganton, and we have quite a number of places highlighted here as well, and in Burke County. So if you're looking for something to do on a weekend too, you might just check out this site. North Carolina Foothills Experience and see what's happening in the community. I can't answer any questions for you, but like I said, Allison will be here next time. She had a family member who needed attention, so.
Thank you, Alan. Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would make one comment. Madam Clerk, we have
Oh,
5 topics up there,
there you go.
and I guess those other 4 topics doesn't relate to this, or are we supposed to be able to pull those down and read it too?
Are you talking about that image?
Yes.
Those tabs.
Yeah, that's a photo of a web page.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's just a placeholder for the, for your packet, if you will. And we may be able to figure out a way to do a live presentation, because it's an interactive presentation when Allison's here, but we'll work on that. If not, it'll be a PowerPoint slideshow.
Did we answer my question? If we did, I missed it. Are we supposed to be able to pull those down and read them?
Not from your
Okay.
packet.
You
But if
answered
you go to
it.
that website, you'll be able to do that very thing.
That's fine. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You answered the question.
Mr. Chairman, Wayne and I have had the opportunity to see this through the COG. It's a very friendly, interactive site. You just go to the one website itself, and it will take you to the 4 different counties and all the amenities that are provided in each one of those counties. Extremely friendly to use, and gives you every opportunity to visit everything that's in each one of those 4 counties in the COG area. So I think Wayne will attest, as I will, it's very easy to use.
I use them on occasion.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions or comments for Alan? Well, then, I look forward to the presentation. Thank you, Alan. Without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. That brings us to item number 7 under presentations, Community Development, Watermill Access Area, Project Update. This will be presented by Shane Frisbee, our Community Development Operations Manager. Shane, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for having me here to give you the shortened version of the presentation. But it's an update on the progress of the Watermill Access Area overhaul project. And I'll cover a little bit about the background. Just for here, it's a comprehensive relicensing agreement project that the county agreed to take on from Duke Energy, which started with the seed funding for the project. The county added in a little bit of additional funding to apply for different grants for the project. But where we ultimately found our success and were able to move forward was with a partnership, a collaboration with the Wildlife Resource Commission.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll speak out and project more. But with the Wildlife Resource Commission, and just a point I want to make about that is that in part of the agreement, we're working with them on the engineering. Their crew is doing the construction, which allowed to keep the price very, very low for a project of this scale. And because we didn't want to give up anything, especially the paving of the project, they agreed to take on any expenses over the amount that we had budgeted for the project. So I'm very excited to, and I'll talk kind of broadly as we go through this, but to say that the project is almost complete. So as of tomorrow, our subcontractor is coming to do the striping on the pavement to show you the difference from this is where we started and where we're going to end up. So some early pictures in the presentation. I'm excited that I'll be out this week updating the pictures at the end of the slideshow with even newer photos to show everybody. But just pointing out just what the site looked like originally, how the boat launch barely made it into the water on most days. Talked a little bit about the plan, the development into the permits that we had to obtain, which this is, I think, the most permits I've ever seen on a project this small. Yeah. I think it's about all of them, if I'm not mistaken. But the project has gone just swimmingly. I cannot understate the quality, the skill, and the professional capacity of the Wildlife Resources crew. They are top-notch, absolutely top-notch. Quick, efficient, everyone from the engineer up through the limb cutting to bringing in coordination of materials, pushing a giant slab of concrete into the river with a bulldozer. nonetheless. I mean, just tremendous skill, professionalism that really brought this project to life, and something they do every day, and we're able to fit it in between other projects. So really, the big question that I'll have for the board today is that presumably with striping starting tomorrow, it should take a day. They'll be done, take a little bit to cure. The wildlife resource crew will return in to the project. They'll be putting in the final touches. That's going to be bump stops and a few other small minor items. It leaves only one thing left, which is working with Duke Energy to get the light pole reinstalled. And that will be on the bank here, about here. So that way we don't have to run any overhead power lines over the boat launch, and the light should cover the entirety of the site. But we're going to have to hold off on that for a few months till everything cools down, because we don't want to have heavy equipment in there marring the pavement. So until the temperature cools down and the pavement cures a little bit more, we'll have to hold on that element. But otherwise, the project should be ready to open for public use as early as next week and or the week after. So I pose the question to the commission of how would you like to move forward with announcing this project to the public? It could be a soft opening where we do a press release and open. We could do a ribbon cutting. Really, it's the pleasure of the board and how you would like to move ahead with really closing this project out and welcoming people in to use it for the end of the season.
Shane, thank you. Comments, questions, ribbon cuttings usually are pretty popular, just throwing that out there, but, gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't have, but I do now, since you showed the pictures. Can only one access there at a time?
Yes, Commissioner. So the area has been redesigned to allow for better parking, clearer access, and particularly, as you can see, the boat launch originally was much narrower and steeper. So all the grades have been redone, so still one boat can put in or pull out at a time, but the access and the sight line has been dramatically improved. Where before you're backing down and you cannot see where your trailer is going. Now it's a straight shot at an even grade, and it's safe all the way down to the river. You can put the boat into the actual water now, where before it was, the boat launch stopped before the water on most days.
Well, I was noticing all the parking spaces. How many parking spaces do we have?
Let me go back to the engineering design, because I don't know that number offhand. Looks like we'll have 3 trailer sites, 4 regular vehicle sites, which would accommodate people with a kayak or roof rack, something like that, or staging a car for pickup, and 1 ADA accessible site as well.
But one access is suitable for that location. I'm assuming that's what you're telling us. If me and Scott show up at the same time, who gets in?
Generally, it's a first come, first serve.
Me.
Whoever's the fastest. Well, my point is, it's a pretty, if, I don't have near the time that a lot of people have, but one of the things I did want to learn to do, never have, is to fish. But it would be a nice place to go. It's serene and very, very well done. And that's the reason I asked the question. So.
It'll be part, right now it's a really important boat launch for the entirety of the river, because it's kind of the halfway point between the lake and Morganton. So a lot of people will put up at the dam, and they'll put in and they'll pull out at Watermill Access. The other half are the folks who want to float from Watermill Access down into Morganton and say pull out where Judges used to be, and Portage around the weir. So from here, the wildlife crew is actually going to go build a brand new boat launch in between the dam and Watermill at the bridge going over the river to Glen Alpine. So we'll have additional options for people to put in. Morganton has another CRA project for a clearer portage access around the weir, the low water dam, as well as a parking area. So when all of these projects are realized, suddenly we'll have a lot of new options. There will be Muddy Creek, Bridgewater access is going to get a major upgrade as well. North Bend, Watermill, and the Morganton Weir, and points down into Lake Roadhiss as well. So it's really going to open up the entirety of the river for more floating opportunities, even possibly tubing, guide fishing. You can do drift boats on these now that they're better access. So we're really expanding the opportunities for everybody out on the river.
One final question. If the demand demands it, is there room for expansion on it? Can we add one or two more?
I don't believe we can. It's a postage stamp. It's a very, as you can see from some of the later photos, it's a little more evident from where the fence in these photos are basically on the property boundary. The old site actually was encroaching on HOA space. It's common open space for the subdivision just next door. So we've done away with that so that the entirety of the project is located on county property. That does lose a little bit of space, but I think we've maximized what we can get out of that area as a whole. There would be a little bit of opportunity for overflow up at the top. If people say had a kayak with a roof rack or were just staging a vehicle, they could presumably park up on this shoulder. It's gravelled, it is stable, they would just be off the edge of the pavement as well. So it has a little tiny bit of flex space. It wouldn't accommodate another trailer, but we did everything we could to work within all the buffer restrictions and just the lot lines that we have. So I feel that we've really achieved the maximum utility we can out of this space.
Thank you very much. A nice setting.
Thank you. And again, I just can't speak highly enough of Jeff Ferguson, the wildlife engineer, Dean Barbie and Scott Proctor of the crew and the entire WRC crew as a whole. They have just been tremendous. I mean, phenomenal partnership and collaboration between the county and wildlife. This project is really a gem for that alone, not to mention just the improved access for the public to the river.
I'll speak for myself. I can tell you, I'm probably more familiar with that than probably everybody up here because I am a fisherman, and of course I float a lot too. And so we put in up at the top, and we'll float the watermill every once in a while. Generally float on down, just depending on how much daylight you have, because it's depending on the wheels how long it takes. And most people do generally drop a car. I've probably been in and out of that access 100 times. As far as the trailers and as far as the traditional trailer, when you think of boating, you very seldom see that on that section of the river. You may get an increase just because of what you're talking about, the other projects, but the bulk of people that you see on the top part of the river coming down 90, all of it's been, generally all of it's canoes. And so that's what we do is canoes and drift boats, to see drift boats. But I don't see really anything else on that section of river, so I think that's probably going to suffice as far as room. But it's a great project. I'm glad to see it finally come to fruition. It's much needed. You answered the other question because I was going to ask you about the portage down there, because that thing is bad and has been bad for a lot of years. And unless you're experienced in canoes, that can get a little dangerous down there because it's right up against the dam. And so I'm glad to hear the city. I'd like to see those plans to see where that portage is, how far upstream versus where it is now, because that is definitely needed.
I agree.
So any other questions, comments?
I do have a request, when it's completed and since you got all those nice pictures, Mr. Chairman, it'd probably be a good gesture on our behalf to get names and addresses of all those who did participate, and let Kay send them a nice thank you note. And invite them to come and visit to see what the finished product looked like.
I certainly will. I think there'll be a lot of people very excited about this, and I really think that crew does a tremendous amount of good for the citizens of North Carolina. And I think it's names that you'd never see in the headlines, but they're out doing tremendous work, and I'd love to see them recognized.
And I believe we could also do a recognition and a ribbon cutting. I think we need to do kind of an opening, preferably in the fall. It's a little too hot now. I think we can wait until September. But I think that would be, if the other commissioners are okay with that, we could do a, something up there along those lines and get all the participants involved. So that'd be great. Any other questions, comments for Shane? If not, thank you, Shane.
Thank you all very much.
Gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. That moves us to our final item under presentations, proclamation declaring September 19th through 24th. Oh, 4th, we've already done that, sorry. So we do have a kind of a jumble on this today, Kay, so we can skip that. So we are done with presentations. Scheduled public hearings, there are none. And this brings us to item number 5 on our agenda, gentlemen, consent agenda. This will be Tax Department Release Refund Report for July 2022, presented by John Bridgers, our tax administrator. John, how are you today? And I see we have a new employee, new guest here, so I'd like to welcome her and introduce her, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I would like to introduce our new property valuation manager, and she's coming to us from Cook County, Illinois, with about 10 years' experience in the tax office there in Chicago. So, Namrita Nelson.
Yes, well, I'd like to say the websites, like they just put up, worked. We saw one of those, our child moved to Charlotte, and this looks like a good place to live, so here we are, so, yes. So I worked in terms of work, I worked in Cook County for 10 years. I'm a CPA and worked there with, the number of properties, obviously, in Cook County are humongous. There's 1.8 million parcels of land. I did commercial assessments for about 7 years at the Cook County Board of Review, and I was working at the assessor's office currently. We decided that we wanted to move out of Illinois at some point when our kids were older, which they are now, and wanted a change of pace. My husband can work from home, and I found a job here, so I'm excited.
1.8 million parcels. This ought to be a walk in the park for you then. So, so this is easy. So this you can do probably, overnight, right?
In an
No
evening.
problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yes, it'll be very interesting. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
we're glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So with our release and refund report, we have, report amount is $30,200.18. That was the net release. We had a rebilled amount of $214,218.96. And what that is when you do any kind of release or anything, it eliminates that bill, and then you have to rebill what's left. So there were no refunds that we did in July, and the vehicle tax system refunds for over $100 was $187.14, or excuse me, 17 cents.
Thank you, John. Gentlemen, any questions on this item? Then without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Moving on, tax collection report for July 2022. John?
Tax collections report for the property tax. We have collected 53% for, collected $24,275,772.77. For motor vehicle tax, we've collected $568,688.19, which is 9.48% of the budgeted amount. Current year taxes, collected $24,844,460.96, which is 47.96% of the budget. Delinquent taxes, we've collected $177,206.87, which is 16.74% of the budget amount. Late list penalty, we've collected $34,319.57, which is 10.19% of the budget amount. Question, and the total tax levy, I'm sorry, $47,412,371.13. So we've collected 51.20% of that. And that amount changes each month because the discoveries and releases, and that kind of stuff.
Thank you, John. Any questions, comments on this item? There being none, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Order to collect 2022 taxes.
So the general statutes require the governing body to adopt or charge the tax office to collect the current year taxes. So the current year being from July 1 of 2022 to June 30th of 2023. So county taxes and other charges, we're looking at $828,304.74. All other jurisdictions, taxes and other charges, $186,944.14, for a total amount of $2,015,248.88.
Thank you, John. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, no question on this particular item. I'd like kind of just to go off the reservation for just a second. Back in 20, we received notice from the state that our accuracy numbers and data was getting out of line, and we needed a reappraisal in 23. And I know we started down the trail with some of that, and I know we just made some adjustments, I think, in the last few months to that process. But I guess what I would like to hear maybe, and you might be able to rattle this right off, but kind of an update as to where we are with coming into this reappraisal and the accuracy and the things that the state pointed out that.
Well, the state did send us a letter, said we had to do the revaluation by January 1 of 2025, which we were already in the process of doing that anyway because of our sales ratio figures. So that really didn't bother us because we were already in the process. I spoke with the appraisal company today, and they are about 90% done with the residential neighborhoods, and they're still working on the commercial property, and we should be able to present to you the schedule of values for your adoption in September, October. Prices are going up, just like everything else. Property values are going up. How much, we don't quite know yet, but they are going up.
So how much of the measure and list, I think might be the right terminology, did we do with residential or what?
Well, we did probably about a third of the county, and we realized that we weren't finding enough to justify that expense, so we pulled that back and then funneled that money into the commercial appraisal. The savings we funneled into the commercial appraisal.
We're expecting some report from you probably September.
Yes, sir.
Something like that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments for John? Well, there being none, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. John, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, that moves us on to item number 6, items for decision. There are none. So we'll move on to item number 7, reports. This will be Western Piedmont Council of Governments. There will be a presentation on recruitment process for our new county manager. So this is a placeholder. This will be presented by Anthony Starr, the executive director, at our regular scheduled meeting. Any questions, gentlemen? There being none, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. We can move on to other discussion items. I would remind everyone to please submit your reports to the clerk for inclusion in the agenda packet. Courtesy reminder, I'm sure all of us will be down there at the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Annual Conference down in Concord. This will be next week, August 11th through the 13th, and so we all look forward to that. I do see here in highlighted blue, Madam Clerk.
Yes, that's something that Brian and Brian Neef would like to talk with you about.
Okay? I'll turn the floor over to our county manager.
Thank you, gentlemen. We did an RFP for a project. It came in above $90,000, which means it's not a contract that I can sign. The board will have to approve this, and Brian, you want to give them a little details about that, please?
Yeah, no problem. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Helping out the finance office too, I helped facilitate this. We submitted 2 RFPs for some roof projects the board has approved funding for. One of them is the Ag Center. That'll come in under the budget threshold, so it's not a problem. The other one was to replace part of the metal roof membrane at the Human Resources Center. And after we got all the bids come in, the winning bid came in at about $98,000. And as you all know, anything above 90 has to come to the board for approval. So I'm assuming at the next meeting, we just like to submit that contract for y'all's approval. We'll be sure to include the bid tabulation and all the information that goes along with it. We went through the bids that were received. The vendor we've selected meets all the qualifications. They do have a contractor license, so it seems like should be no problems or hang-ups there, but would have to come before you all for your formal approval. And this is funding that was been carried over from previous fiscal year, and it falls within the amount. I think in that fiscal year, about $99,000 was actually allocated, so this falls in right underneath that, those funds that would be available for the project. So if you have any questions or.
So for clarity, we had already budgeted this in. We're
Correct.
just doing approval because it is over the $90,000.
Correct, yes.
Threshold.
The board has approved the contract amount.
And so this will be added to items for decision, Madam Clerk? Any questions, comments, gentlemen? Okay, Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that an item that can go under consent, Madam Clerk?
It's your pleasure. It's fine with, on our end.
Well, gentlemen, since the money is already approved, it could go under a consent agenda, because we'd already voted to approve it at our prior meeting, and it is under that threshold, or under the threshold we set. So is there any objection to putting this under the consent agenda?
No objection, but I think it'd be good for us to understand that if something comes up through our education process and getting prepared, that we do need to draw it back out of consent, we do that. But otherwise, if it's budgeted and been approved, I don't see any reason it shouldn't be in the consent agenda.
All right, Madam Clerk, I think there's your direction, unless there is new information that we need to know between now and then. It sounds like that's pretty much set, the bid is, so we will add that to consent agenda. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, I'll remind everybody, we just talked about this earlier with Tanya from the Chamber of Commerce. Please don't litter, and if you pick up litter, please pick up litter if you're able to, and cover your loads if you're going to one of our convenience sites, because that's where a lot of the debris happens. I'd encourage everyone to adopt or foster a pet from Animal Services. We've gotten a report from the July numbers. They were shocking. Most animals brought in, I believe, and well, since we had a changeover at the animal shelter and staffing, so in several years. So please put the word out to adopt or foster a pet. Courtesy reminder, Wavention Festival is August 12th and 13th. I know all of us will be in Concord at the NCACC, but I would encourage our staff and our citizens to please attend that. That is a fun festival. I also want to extend condolences to the Britton family. Cynthia's brother, if you did not know, Jesse Howard Crawley, passed away. Receiving will be August 4th from 1 to 2 p.m. at Mount Home Baptist Church, and the memorial service is at 2 p.m. So Commissioner Carswell?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make an announcement today that I have resigned from the Friends of the Fonda Flora State Trail Committee, 3FSC. Shane still represents us on that committee. I think it's two or three things happen. Number one, I don't have time, and they don't hold the meetings in Burke County. Most time those meetings are held in McDowell County. I think the only reason we were probably on there is to make sure that they got money from us, and I think we've done more than our share of giving money to 3FST. I think we give more than Morton did. Actually, Morton had backed out, and several others had, and Muckham still hasn't given them a penny. There was mention of putting the elected officials on an advisory committee. I have no problem with them doing that, but right now, it's just, I can't see any advantage for one of us sitting on that board. So I tendered my resignation immediately, and I wanted the board to know that.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Well, there being nothing else at this point, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Thank y'all. Thanks for everybody being here today.